And now, our feature presentation.
Somebody once told me
Welcome to part 2 of Traveling Tech Art. Welcome to part 2 of Traveling Tech Art. How you do it?
Welcome to part 2 of the Traveling Techers Pixar Ranker. I almost messed up like
It's
you
hard
did.
to say. Today we're going to be going over the Scare Floor runner-ups. So that is going to be 15 all the way down to 6. So a lot more movies going over today than in the first episode. Speaking of which,
If you missed last week's episode, part 1 or tier 3, which is the Luxo Ball Deflates, check in the
Comments?
Check the comments below for the link there, or I can tag it at the top of the screen, whichever YouTube lets me do.
one of the corners.
One of the corners. We have a special guest for later in the video, which will be making his debut and Traveling Techer debut, I think. Is going to be my youngest brother, Dylan. We're going to go into his...
Poke your head in, Dylan.
What is it? Who are you? What do you want? God, you've gotten fat.
Having Dylan on the show today is not only going to be super special to have a whole nother Caruth or another addition to the Techer family, but to give a whole other generational standpoint on this ranking, because once again, thank you to all those that did reach out and send your list from last week and since then. But we have a lot of awesome standpoints, especially for this category.
Yeah.
This is probably the most controversial because there's the most movies.
Absolutely.
Some that didn't quite make it in the top 5, and some that just barely made it out of the deflated Luxo balls. So,
With all that being said, let's get into it. Alright, Cody, explain what we're about to do.
So in case you missed the first video, which you should have watched it already, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the middle category, or Scare Floor runner-ups. We're going to take 15 to 6, but to break it up, we're going to do 15 to 11. So DJ will reveal his first, then I will go, talk about it, and go into detail or laugh at each other's picks, and then we will do 10 to 6. So
Alright.
DJ, start us off, take us away.
I know for sure there's going to be some shocks on this one. 15, I have Brave.
Don't show your other rest.
At 14, don't look down. At 14, I have A Bug's Life.
What?
It's a shock for the Caruths. Cars.
The first one?
Yep.
Oh my.
12, I have Ratatouille. 11, I have Finding Nemo.
Brave makes sense, but all the rest we're going to have to fight about.
All right.
Bugs
Let's
Life,
see what
Cars,
you got.
Ratatouille, Finding Nemo.
Let's see what you got
All right,
there.
hold the board while I review.
Yep.
For 15, we got Ratatouille.
It's a big shock with a lot of people that sent in their rankings.
There is. We'll get into that later. 14, Toy Story 3. 13 is WALL-E. 12 is Inside Out.
I'm entering a sadness spiral.
Monsters U is 11.
Now, Monsters U was on my Luxo Ball Deflates.
Luxo Ball Deflates. So you had it at what, like 20 or something like
Yeah,
that?
I
Mine
had-
makes it way farther down the
Yeah.
list.
Let's see. Brave. So last one, Brave, was right there on your
16, yours is 15 on the
just right
cusp.
below. So we were real close on that one, which is fun. A Bug's Life.
Yeah, we're going to have some issues with that one. The bugs, we're going to have to go into some detail maybe
So
later.
you can't
but
you can't go into what you think about it because yours is further down somewhere.
Yes. So A Bug's Life holds a dear place in my heart, and I'll just do a little intro of it because I have a lot to say about it. But The Bug's Life was the first VHS movie in that big, thick plastic container. I think it was even green. I remember getting as a kid, like at the store, like, "Hey, Mom, can I get this?" Immediately went home, had like the Pixar short at the beginning, which was like the old guy playing chess, which he found at the end by himself. And then went into this crazy movie of living amongst bugs. Great animation, great story, fun music, so on. And it's the one that will always be truly and dear to my heart. I might even watch it technically before Toy Story. So I'm not going to go into much further detail because the big point I'm leaving out into why it means so much to me. But it's definitely a shocker at 14. I know just from looking at other people's rankings, though, some people had it in this ranking around the same number, and some even had it like 18.
I think A Bug's Life, is that Pixar's second movie?
Yep, 98.
Okay. Bug's Life might fall to the recency bias. Because I know some other movies on this list are definitely higher up because I've seen them more recently, for sure. But yeah, I haven't seen A Bug's Life in a while. Other than it being a part of my childhood, there's just not a lot that calls me back to it, really. So it unfortunately finds itself just making it into the Scare Floor runner-ups.
Which I think you could then argue why Toy Story 3 is 14th on my list, but we haven't seen it on yours yet.
No, we have not.
So you don't seem to be as triggered about that one as I am as Bug's Life.
No.
But Ratatouille is in this top area of this second tier of scale of 4 1 or up. Mine's 15, yours is 12, which a lot of people have that in a better placement, actually. Which...
I think Ratatouille is probably the most common first place number 1.
Which is, it's a big spoiler for those that tuned in last week, as we didn't see it either.
Me and
maybe
Shane,
10 years old?
Yeah, me and Shane were talking about this, your other brother, beforehand. And we were trying to figure out, because it was a complete shock to us that would be so highly ranked, so consistently across other people's rankings. But I think what it is Ratatouille's main message is to follow your dreams, you know? And you can accomplish anything. And before making these lists, I haven't seen Ratatouille in a couple of years, so I kind of forgot that until we kind of really got into it. So it makes sense, but it's still definitely a shock.
Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and defend WALL-E here, because I even know of someone that has WALL-E as number 1, and it kind of hurt to put it 13. I actually really, really, really love WALL-E, to where like I will pitch it to where it could be in the top 5. Unfortunately, when I did watch this, it's maybe like the third one I watched when I was doing this binge, but I hadn't seen it since 7th grade of middle school, so it's been countless years ago. So it was definitely a lot of fun to watch. It was a big refresher. I honestly forgot most of the movie, other than like Eve and Wally's relationship, and he was the last living thing, arguably, on Earth. It is a beautiful movie, and sadly true in a way, especially with the whole coronavirus pandemic, how there could be a lot of people going through this crisis, hence maybe the trash crisis in this movie, and seeing drastic change. So it was really applicable to me, trying to compare it to what we're living through in a way. Maybe also far-fetched, but it just doesn't hit that home factor. I think maybe because I watched it once prior, many years ago. But definitely a beautiful movie overall. I love Wally's character and his relationship with Eve.
Yeah. I think it's important to say that now that we're in the middle category going into the top category, there could be an argument made for any of these movies being in the top 5. Easily. When you're making this category, it really does hurt you to put some movies where they're at. And you get through, and once you put them into these 3 different sections, you realize how much it sucks that you have to put a movie that you might really, really enjoy that just doesn't make it out of this middle category, or just barely is hanging on before going into the top category or the lowest category.
Yep. And then what about you with Cars? Cars is 13 for you. I'm a little thrown off by that one.
Cars does not get an emotional response like some other movies do.
When is the last time you cared about something except yourself, Hot Rod? You name me one time.
It is a real, and I see the Caruthers looking at me both with a real triggered grin.
Cars.
I love Cars. I do. But when I watch Cars, it's very much a child nostalgic kind of feeling affect anything that I'm thinking now. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Like, if you take away the nostalgic from it, it doesn't really bring anything new. Whereas the movies past this, most of them at least, you can watch them today and learn and get a new feeling that you didn't have when you were first watching it.
Fair enough. I'm going to defend Inside Out because I know you might be a little thrown off on that one. Inside Out
being so low?
Yeah. Inside Out, to me, actually was like 19th originally. I'd only seen it once before as well.
We had a heated argument about that.
We did. Inside Out is definitely a very beautiful movie. This is definitely one that I see a lot in people's top 10s, maybe even top 5s. But it doesn't hit the overall picture to me. It's this one, it might be one of the few that I would argue is more kiddish.
That's how you want to play it, old man? No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
Even though it's very relatable to adults, with the elephant, what's his name?
Bing Bong.
Bing Bong, that's it.
Bing bong, bing bong.
His rocket makes you yell hooray, bing bong, bing bong.
Which actually kind of hits home to Bug's Life because Bing Bong's voiced by Scar's brother. Or not Scar, I'm thinking lying. Hopper's brother.
What?
Hopper's brother, same voice actor for Bing Bong. So that was kind of cool. I was able to like make that connection there.
That's something that you only realize when you watch 22 movies in the span of 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. Me too. But Inside Out overall has some great lessons. I especially think in the generation behind us, if you will, maybe Dylan's generation or those just a little older, because Inside Out touches on so many key things between people's personalities, how they react to things. We just often forget the beauty of life and spending time with others, and Inside Out does an amazing job at touching on the emotion of that. And simply, if something we talked about numerous times, especially this morning, was A lot of people are almost scared to express their emotions. Maybe not happiness or anger, but maybe the touchier ones. Sadness, fear. Because if you give someone a hint that you're fearful of them or something, it's a weak link in, you know, their system, and no one wants to do that. Same with emotion and sadness. So
sounds like it really spoke to you.
It did, but it didn't speak to me enough to make it into the top 10.
A little bit of editing magic here. Change the desk around a little bit so we can see down at the bottom. But go ahead, Cody, show us what you got for 10 to 6.
This is going to be some big ones because they're breaking not only into the top 10, but those that could be in the top 5. And this is probably the hardest 5 for me to pick of all of them.
Especially because these are the 5 where before you make a rankings, you probably think these are really high on your list, maybe even top 3, but then when you start putting them, you start lowering them, dropping lower and lower, and then you realize that they're not even making it into your top 5.
Yes. Number 10 is The Incredibles. Woo. Number 9, Onward. I know it's going to be a huge shocker to a lot of people. Unfortunately, a lot of people also haven't seen it because of COVID.
Yep.
Came out a week before it shut down. 8 is Coco. 7 is Cars. 6 is Finding Nemo.
Okay.
There's going to be some explanations behind this.
So
but
Cars and Finding Nemo isn't that far away from mine.
No.
Not insanely, just the difference between above and below 10th.
Yes.
Monsters, Inc. at 10.
You be quiet! Don't you think I'm aware of the situation?
9 is Wall-E.
Not too far.
So where'd you have Wall-E at? 13?
13.
Okay. 8 is Toy Story 1.
What are you looking at, you hockey puck?
7 is Toy Story 2. And 6 is Onward.
Wow, it's much higher than I thought. So let's touch on Onward first, because I can guarantee you a lot of people haven't seen Onward. I know a lot of people of the many,
It's
many...
a great movie.
Yes. Animation, story, voice acting,
Onward is
imagination.
Onward is one that I want to put higher on my list, like closer to number 1. Not number 1, but closer to number 1. But I'm trying to fight back recency bias because I did just see it like for the first time recently.
Came out not even 2 months ago.
Yeah, but I've watched it twice, and it is a really good movie with a fantastic message. Like just
A very, very touching
I don't want to
message.
spoil that one since it is so
recent,
new.
yes. But it's definitely very family-oriented, and, I mean, it definitely really tugs at your heart. Probably, I would arguably... if you had a category for the 5 Pixar movies that tug at your heart the most, that's easily in the top 5. So, Onward for me was, yes, 9. Yours is obviously 6.
Yep, that was a tough one. I really wanted that one to break into the top 5, but I just
and I
couldn't
knew
do
he
it.
did because I saw it before him, I'm not mistaken, and then you saw it maybe a day or so after, and we exchanged a lot of deep conversation about it. But without spoiling anything, just you gotta watch it. For me, I had 10 as Incredibles, which I don't see in your scale for runner-ups. Wow. So Incredibles to me, I have to defend this because I know someone, or at least maybe 2 people that have this as number 1.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the big ones where it's going to be from when it came out and how much it meant to you as a kid, because I think this came out in 2004, 5. So what was it, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, somewhere around that spectrum. So you're still have that really big kiddish dreaming mindset. And to me, I thought it was just super cool how not only was there the world filled with superheroes, but they were also trying to be normal people.
Now, it's perfectly normal.
Normal? What do you know about normal? What does anyone in this family know about normal?
Now, wait a minute, young lady.
We act normal, Mom. I want to be normal. The only normal one is Jack, and he's not even toilet trained.
Even though they were forced to, more or less, to go into hiding. It just doesn't quite hit a top 5 spectrum story for me. I know it's 10, it still has 2 digits there, not a singular digit. DJ seems to be a little triggered, and I gotta hear why.
And about Incredibles, I'll hold off on that.
Alright, he'll hold off. What you got next for me?
So you've got Coco at 8. Now, I know Coco for you was very, very, very low on your list.
That was also, yeah, at first it was like 18 or 20.
And I remember we had that conversation, and I was like, dude, that blows my mind. That movie's amazing.
But the next day I watched it, and a part of me almost feels, actually, this is one of the ones I want to put in my top 5 so bad, but the recency bias, as you were talking about with Onward, I want this one to be like number 5 so bad. But in terms of a story directly affecting me, it misses out on that. Other than that, it's beautiful. The music, the animation, the story, the emotion, the colors. I mean, it was nominated for multiple Oscars for that matter. Not even just ones related to animated screenplays and so on and so forth. But it has a very beautiful message that I kind of overlooked the first time I watched it. I think I was more or less going into the Pixar all and what I was getting myself into. It's one of the more recent ones. I think maybe 2016.
I believe so.
It was after Good Dinosaur, which we sadly forgot. clearly we haven't seen it on your list. I also know how deeply in love you are with that movie, which,
I love Coco.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with, because I think Mama Coco holds a dear part in my heart. But I do want to give a little shout out to Byron Leon, who's one of my dear coworkers. He is Ecuadorian, and he told me just the other day that he saw this movie in Ecuador with his family in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
So that he waited till he went to go visit his family in Ecuador to see it, and I thought that was an amazing story. And to me, the Latin American culture has always been one of my favorites, as it's, as we talked about before, unknown. I love, especially culture, and just to try and think of how that moment was for him and his family to watch. And I think one of them was his abuela, as he said that he saw it with, or his tia, his aunt, for those that don't know. Thank you. And I think that's just incredible, because it's a big family-focused movie, especially about like the Day of the Dead and so on and so forth. So
it's so much about family and about. Oh, tell me about Finding Nemo. That one's.
I knew Finding Nemo wasn't as big for you.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, Finding Nemo came out after Monsters Inc. Not totally later after Monsters Inc., but it was definitely one of the first big movies I can remember seeing as a kid in the theater. Monsters Inc.'s definitely up there as well.
How hard was it to not put it in the top 5? Or was that a pretty easy?
That was actually pretty easy. 6th place. I knew it wasn't out of top 10, and I knew it wasn't in top 5. I actually wanted to switch that and Coco. Cars just to stay at number 7. I'll get to that why. Finding Nemo for me hits home because, like I said, it was one of the first few movies I can remember seeing in theaters, let alone Pixar. My aunt, well, me and my brother were the first kids in my mom's side of the family. She would come down all the time or request for us to stay a week with her. Well, she came down one time and took us to see it, as well as Monsters Inc. And those memories, you know, I hold pretty dear with her because her and my uncle couldn't have kids until they started to adopt. So I think it's like she did her best just to, you know, be the best aunt she could. And one of those things was taking us to see movies and share that moment. So it kind of holds that very family-oriented all to it for me. And it's just a great story.
I wonder if Finding Nemo will take on a different meaning later on in life.
Especially in the father aspect. I'm curious to ask any people out there that are a parent or a father in general, comment below and let us know.
If you've seen Finding Nemo since becoming a father or a mother and understand Marlin's, you know, fears a little bit more.
Yes. I think that was something we talked about. Let me hear about Toy Story 1 and 2. Let's lump them together.
Toy Story 1 and 2 are amazing. And
it's the first and third Pixar of all time, too.
Yes. And it hurt to not put them in the top 5. But again, the movies that I have in my top 5, which you can do the math if you kept track, I feel like each one's different and meaningful in different ways. Whereas I couldn't justify putting, 3 Toy Stories taking up 3 slots in my top 5. Just for the sole fact that they are one continuous story, more or less.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Toy Story 3 is going to be my top 5. And I feel like that one is like the conclusion to this Toy Story story.
There's a snake in my boot.
Toy Story 4, I don't think really adds anything new to it.
Toy Story for me, I mean, we actually just watched them as brothers. The first 3, we didn't get to watch the 4th. That was actually the only one of the 22 we didn't watch. And it was so fun just to reminisce, as like Shane and I used to watch Toy Story 1 and 2 multiple times, and we had a lot of little army guys yourselves to imagine we were Andy with his army guys.
Yeah. Toy Story, I think Toy Story, all 3 of them, not the 4th one as much, but they definitely, especially the first 2 actually, they really bring you back to being a kid playing with your toys.
1000%.
Toy Story 3 kind of gets away from that a little bit because it's a more adventurous story.
Yep.
But with the first 2, like, there's just so many scenes in that where it just really brings me right back to being a kid, especially with me and my brother. I mean, he had all the Toy Story, characters and all that. It also made me thought a lot about playing, like, the old Toy Story video games.
I had one from my little Game Boy
Really brought
Color.
me back to that. Especially, like, just watching them do their little movements to get around the room and, like, the dramatic things that they had to do just to open up a door.
Right. I think the big one for, especially my brother, when we were watching these was, it's really elementary, but it's actually really accurate, and you can't act like as any human being out there that hasn't thought this once, but the older you get, you let either toys collect dust, you throw them away, you donate them, you give them to a younger brother, sibling, hold them for your kids, so on and so forth. But watching Toy Story, I guarantee, I'm willing to bet that everyone has thought at least once, like, man, I do miss either playing with my toys, or I wonder what happened to them if you did get rid of them. And it's something that it's a really weird connection to something so simple as a plastic toy or a metal truck or toys that are in front of us that were kept
It brings
through
you
the
back to
years.
being a kid when they weren't just a plastic thing of junk. They
Exactly.
They really did mean something to you. And it makes you really think, you know, does a toy really have its own life, its own personality when given to by a kid?
Exactly.
You know? Maybe not in the movie sense, but definitely in the meaning from a kid's point of view.
Exactly.
Monsters Inc. must be in your top 5. How does that make you feel being 10th on my list?
As we have sat here the last while producing these videos and the last couple of weeks, that is the #1 song. that we've been doing all day, but I'm actually listening to the MP3 or the YouTube video of that song a lot because it's one that stands out the most. You could argue that Mr. Newman's "You've Got a Friend in Me" from Toy Story, or even
It's
some
probably
of
the
the
most iconic Pixar song.
1000%. I mean, it's on Disney games and
Yeah.
Scareful runner-ups. We just covered about all of them. If you have anything that you're in disagreement, which I know a lot of you are from the results we got, comment below and tell us why or Pixar trash.
We are back with Mr. Dylan Carruth, Cody's younger brother. Barely see the resemblance there. So while we've been doing this, Dylan's been helping us out today, being our cameraman and turning the camera on and off and all that kind of stuff. And as we've been going through our list, I keep seeing him changing his list as we're going. So how comfortable do you feel with your list?
I mean, I feel kind of bad with the tier 2. They got pushed back so far.
From like being in the top 5?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, let's break it down like me and DJ broke ours down. Do 15 to 11.
All right. Now these ones I mostly feel bad about, just because they got pushed up.
Because they're pretty close to the ball deflates.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, so 15 to 11.
15, A Bug's Life. So.
Triggered.
Is that your one in your
Top 5?
Top 5?
Yeah, it's one of the few that.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew about that, so I knew you'd be angry.
You knew.
I barely made it out of his Luxo Ball deflates.
I know.
Barely made it
A lot
out.
of people are like that though. That's some our generation thing. But even then, you have to have like that tie to it. All right, continue. 14.
All right, 14, Incredibles. That one's for you.
It's close
That
behind.
one's for you. You took the two
It's
that we care
mocking
about
us
and
now,
tore them apart.
right?
You got 15 and 14 right there. 13 is Toy Story 4. I mean, it got out of the deflates.
Which is pretty
Honestly,
remarkable.
the ending is really great. Like,
Really great.
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it kind of ends the Toy Story right there. I mean, I don't really think you could have a better ending to Toy Story. It just shows that they're done with these movies.
I would argue that Toy Story 3 was a pretty good ending.
I mean, yeah, that one was a great ending. That one's farther down. That one's not in the deflates.
And I think this is one that we can lump in that this is more of his generational
Yeah.
bring up too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right, 12 is Toy Story. I mean, it may be the first Pixar, but it's on 12, so.
Fair enough. You didn't grow with it. I'll give you a check mark on that.
All right, 11 is Coco. I feel bad about that one. Really.
Your face was like waiting for him to say that.
Why do you feel bad?
It's just, I honestly feel like it should be in tier 1. I mean, I know tier 1's top 5, but I wish it was like top 6.
When you watch it, when you finish it, it feels like it should be one of the best Pixar movies.
Yeah.
There's just something so grand about it. And
Señoras y señores, buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenas noches.
and the story is beautiful. And
Remember me. I sing a secret song.
it's just there's so many great characters in it. There's so many colorful characters. A good handful of really emotional parts in that movie. Like, it has everything that you would want out of a top tier Pixar movie.
Yep.
But it just doesn't make it.
Onward made it right in there. I didn't think it was going to be that good.
Definitely
My mind was blown when I watched it.
wooed a lot of people. It was very very touching.
Yeah, I definitely think that movie is not getting the praise it deserves.
Yep.
Just because of the whole situation that we're in.
Yeah.
Number 9, we have Cars 2. Yeah.
What?
That's
That's a very
pretty
big
highly
shocker.
placed.
It's a very big shocker.
I mean,
What do you like about Cars 2?
I just watched it so many different times when I was younger. Like, when it
this
came
is
out,
your
I got it
blanket
on
as a
disc.
kid, so
Yeah. When it came out, I watched it so many different times. I even have it on disc. Like, as soon as it came out on disc, I got it. Lightning McQueen. It's right here.
Ka-chow.
What about Mater?
Mater, I don't know. That's hard between them. They're like the best.
Would you say they're your favorite Pixar characters?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Number 8, we have Toy Story 2.
What's your 7?
Toy Story 1 is my 8th.
Your 7 is Toy Story 2, right? So, relatively close. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
pretty close.
Well, my 7th is Monsters U.
Okay.
Yeah.
Much higher than either of ours.
Much higher, yeah. I have that one down in the Lexo Bowl Deflates. I have that one as 20.
20.
Wow.
I roll.
Now, why is that one so high for you?
It's just the Monsters universe. Like Cody said, the universe of monsters. It's just great.
A fun way of looking at the characters in a different light. Younger, seeing how they became friends and everything.
Yeah. And
You're wrong, but yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Number 6, we have Wall-E.
I don't think many people. I only know of one of the responses had Wall-E as like number 1 from that was turned in. Other than that, Wall-E might have been a couple other top 5s, but it's not as. I feel like it's kind of one that's forgotten, not in like a rude way or a mean way or that's bad. It's.
I think Wall-E, it's a hit or miss movie. If you're not sold on a movie in the first 20 minutes, you're probably not going to check in with it very. Like it's not going to be that resonating with you. And if you're somebody who kind of doesn't really enjoy the first 20 minutes of the movie with zero dialogue,
right,
it's probably not going to hit you as well as other movies will.
Right.
So I think that's definitely a playing factor in it.
Is that kind of your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, like, the first 20 minutes is, like, my favorite part.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's really, really
Sucks
amazing.
You in. You really feel like wrapped for this, like, desolate wasteland of Earth that's left.
Yeah.
Well, and how quickly you come to, like, love Wall-E.
Yeah.
Like, just how, like, adorable he is.
He's definitely one of my favorite Pixar characters, I think.
It's amazing that Pixar is able to make you love, like, a robot that doesn't speak English after 5 minutes.
It almost makes you feel bad for Wall-E because he wants to talk to her.
I think
has
my
to, like,
favorite scene in Wall-E is when Wall-E's first trying to say Eve.
Eva.
Eve. 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 Eva.
Well, thanks for giving us your 15 to 6. Definitely totally different generational perspective. You grew up with others, especially like Cars 2. That's
there's definitely some
people
sequels in there that make it pretty high for you.
Yeah, but it's definitely always fun to hear younger kids. We're not much of a kid anymore. You're growing too old. Younger minds and their perspective on these movies.
Now I have to ask, because I'm looking at your rankings here.
Yeah.
Inside Out is awfully low. You have Inside Out at 17.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the runner-ups right now. Let's leave that one.
It's a good way to get out of that.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that off camera.
Yeah. But before we close with you, we all know what your number 1. Well, I know what your number 1 is. DJ might have saw when he peeked over, but might help justify your Cars 2. Cars 1 is your number 1.
Oh yes, I love that movie. I mean, I had Cars bed sheets. Like
we're
just
using it.
I mean, this is my Cars blanket. I actually had a full-on bedspread of it.
I mean, these are all his that you see.
We actually had to put a lot back in the bucket.
Like 100 of them.
What about Cars speaks to you?
Every time I watch it, I'm like, this is definitely my favorite.
Fair enough. You just grew up with it.
Yeah.
Editing magic. Dylan turned into a whiteboard. There you have it. Our Scare Floor runner-up.
Episode 2 of the 3-part series.
Pixar rankings.
Coming to a close.
Yep. I feel like there's pauses in between all my words because it's very hard to say all these in quick succession.
Yeah.
Scare Floor runner-up, Pixar rankings, traveling techers.
See, you already messed with that. That's all right.
Okay. Just like we did in last week's video, we found one of you guys' submission. We went ahead and found the one that we thought was the most different to other people. Unique. Unique's a good word. Who'd you find?
So Trevor Binkley, shout out to you, my friend. It's been a long time since we've crossed paths. We used to work together many, many years ago. And for your Scare Floor runner-ups, you have Bugs Life at 15th, which really hurts my soul, just like DJ's.
He was crying before we started this camera back.
I did. I was. Toy Story 4 is 14th, and Incredibles 2 is 13th. Those were both in our final tiers.
Now, they were pretty close to his.
Sort of, but 13th for Incredibles 2.
It's pretty high up there.
But hey, we might have an attachment to it, so I'm not gonna discard that. Inside Out was 12, so it's relatively high compared to as others, but I know it still hurts DJ. So, Onward's 10th. That's pretty good for a lot of people who haven't seen it.
Fair enough.
I'll take it to top 10. Finding Dory is 9.
That's very high.
Don't know if I know anyone that's in top 10. Finding Dory.
I think you might be on your own on that one.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Hold that with pride, though.
Yes. Toy Story 3 is 8. Toy Story 2 is 7.
Where'd you have Toy Story 3 at?
14.
You must have thought it was lower, too.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. It can't be as good as I thought it was. I know it won last place. 14.
Okay.
So, 14 to 8th, it's a kind of a decent gap. 6 is Coco. So, he put it to where I couldn't quite put it. So, bravo to you, Trevor. That makes up for that incredible 2.
Well done, I think.
But, Trevor, thank you so much for your submission, and thank you to all for all your submissions thus far.
Don't forget, we still have one more episode coming out next week, and that's going to be the Pizza Planet Platinum.
Which is going to be the top 5 of our all-time. So,
yep,
send
big
your
hitters,
submissions.
some real big hitters in that category. We've already seen some other people's big hitters already go through our rankings, so looking forward to seeing.
We've had some crazy submissions. People have put Credibles as number 1. Ratatouille's, I feel like, the number 1 that we've seen.
And it's not too late to send in your own rankings if you have not already. Please do, and maybe you'll get a shout out.
Yep. And don't forget, as always, like the video if you thoroughly enjoyed it. And please, please, please comment below if you had any issues with our 15 to 6 and for other ideas for future videos like this. We've thoroughly loved this whole rankings.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've been really happy with turnout of response that we've gotten back for these. It's really been amazing.
So if you have any other suggestions, whether it's a movie or TV show series or whatever the case may be, send it. Might do it.
All right. That's going to be it.
Episode 2, signing off.
Bye.